That night, everything in my marriage went dead silent. All because of one accidental tap on my phone. I opened the camera app of the SUV we had just bought and saw my husband lying under the car, steel pliers in his hand, coldly cutting through the brake lines one by one. On a speakerphone call with his mistress, he calmly spelled out the plan to kill me and take the entire $5 million I'd inherited. I didn't scream, I didn't cry. I understood that if I revealed myself then, I would be the one who died. And if you want to know what I did next to turn fate around, stay and watch this story to the end. After that moment, I lay motionless in the darkness, listening to my heartbeat pound as if it might tear through my chest. I knew that one sob, one unnecessary question, could keep me from seeing the morning. So I chose silence. I kept smiling, kept calling him my husband, kept playing the role of a wife who trusted him completely. Not because I was weak, but because I needed time. To survive, I had to be calmer than the man plotting my death. And in that silence, a plan began to take shape. The next morning, while I was still acting the part of the dutiful wife, an unexpected opportunity appeared. Tiffany, Ethan's sister, walked in and demanded to borrow the new SUV to go out. My mother-in-law immediately took her side, and Ethan was pushed into a corner where he couldn't refuse. I saw the flash of panic in his eyes. He knew that car wasn't safe, knew it was a moving coffin. But afraid of exposing his secret, he stayed silent, and I, with carefully staged hesitation, handed over the keys. From that moment on, the trap began to turn in a different direction. A few hours later, the phone rang. The accident had happened, exactly as Ethan had once planned, with only one crucial difference. The person in the car wasn't me. When the police said the cause was a complete brake failure, Ethan froze. He didn't cry out of grief, but out of fear. In that moment, he understood clearly that it was his own hands that had killed his sister. Tiffany's funeral didn't bring the peace everyone expected. Amid the sobs and the cold scent of incense, my mother-in-law began screaming questions that had no answers. The brand new car, the rushed trip, the death that made no sense. Ethan stood in the crowd, his hands trembling, his eyes panicked. The harder he tried to hide it, the more obvious his guilt became. From that second on, I knew the seed of suspicion had been planted. As that doubt began to take root, I delivered the decisive blow. In silence, I sent my mother-in-law an ultrasound image of Ethan's mistress's unborn child. No explanation was needed. The truth spoke for itself. She realized that for the sake of a so-called heir, her son had pushed his own sister to her death. In that instant, the love in her eyes turned hollow. Blind trust collapsed, leaving behind a mother destroyed by her own flesh and blood. While Ethan's family sank into emotional chaos, I quietly moved into the real counterattack. I contacted a lawyer that very night, demanding an immediate freeze on all shared assets and a halt to any suspicious transactions. The vehicle's camera footage was backed up multiple times and stored in different secure locations. I didn't need to scream or demand justice with my own hands. I understood perfectly. What brings down a ruthless man isn't emotion, but the law and evidence that cannot be denied. When the accounts were frozen, his mistress kept demanding money, and even his own mother began to turn away from him. Ethan collapsed into complete panic. The pressure closed in from all sides, stripping away his control. He screamed, blamed everyone else, and finally let slip the one thing he never should have said. In front of his mother and a camera that was quietly recording the entire time, Ethan confessed that his original plan had been to kill me and take my inheritance. His own fear turned his words into a noose, tightening around his fate without me ever having to accuse him directly. After Ethan's uncontrolled outburst, everything became a matter of time. At the police station, the footage from the car's camera was presented. The images were chillingly clear. Him lying beneath the vehicle, steel pliers in hand, cutting through the brake lines one by one. There was no room left for denial, no space for the word accident. The truth was officially established as premeditated murder. From a man who once manipulated everyone around him, Ethan instantly became a desperate defendant standing before the law. The ending of Ethan's family left no winners behind. His sister died an undeserved death. His mother lost her sanity under the weight of a truth too cruel to bear. And Ethan himself walked into prison with nothing left in his hands. Greed does not bring happiness. It only chooses to destroy everything it touches. This is no longer a story of revenge, but a cold lesson in cause and consequence. After the verdict was delivered, what remained for me was no longer hatred but closure. I signed the divorce papers, secured my entire inheritance, and severed the last tie to the man who had once tried to take my life. I walked away from the old house, the place I had once called family, and sold off every painful memory embedded in its cold walls. I took nothing with me except my life and my self-respect. That was the moment I completely cut myself free from the past. As time passed, I began rebuilding my life from zero. I focused on my work, made careful investments, and slowly reclaimed my sense of self-worth. The old wounds were still there, but they no longer controlled my emotions. When a letter of apology from Ethan arrived, I didn't open it. I understood that the past no longer had permission to enter my present. From that moment on, I knew I had truly been reborn. My story doesn't end with revenge, but with something far more difficult: genuine inner freedom. I learned that peace doesn't come from watching others pay for their crimes, but from knowing how to protect yourself, trusting the law, and having the courage to let go at the right time. The pain was once deep. It made me doubt everything. But in the end, it no longer gets to define who I am. I choose to live better, stronger, and to move forward without carrying resentment. If you stayed until this moment, thank you for listening and walking alongside my story. I hope it offers you a bit of clarity, a bit of courage to protect yourself when necessary. And if you believe stories like this are worth sharing, please like the video and subscribe to the channel so we can meet again in the stories to come.